go to Oviedo and chat with Dave. Dave's got a good question for us this morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning. So we'll just use a number of numbers. So you've got $100,000 in the market, and it's been growing pretty good. You picked the right stuff, but now you're going to retire. And so you got to pay the electric bill every month. You got to pay the phone bill every month, that kind of stuff. And you don't want to sell, but you want to get your money out of it. And so do you start moving towards things that pay dividends, so that you could take that money and still leave your primary money working? It's a little confusing. I've had conversation with a bunch of people, and they're like, wow, gee, I never thought about that. How do I keep growing my money while taking some of it out to pay bills?
Sure. Well, what you're talking about is a dilemma that everybody has when they reach retirement. And they say, well, now I've got to turn this money into income. And let me tell you what. I need to explain to you how to look at your investment portfolio. What you want in the long term is growth, right? It go up 5%, 6%, 7% per year. But that growth is made up of several things. Number one, it's the increase in the value of the shares, right, Harry? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's the reinvestment of the dividends and the reinvestment of the capital gains. So you have three things that's going to make that portfolio grow: the increase in the value of the shares, the reinvestment of dividends, and the reinvestment of the capital gains. Now, when it comes time to withdraw, what Harry and I do, and the 12 of us certified financial planners do, our clients tell us, okay, we need X number of dollars every quarter, every month, whatever it might be. And what we will do is we'll take a little bit off the top of various investments to give you that income. In the meantime, the portfolio is still perking along and doing what it should be doing, but we're scraping some off the top, whether it's, selling something. But the idea is to keep that portfolio growing and not dump it into something that's just going to give you income, because there's nothing out there that'll give you enough income to sustain your lifestyle.
Yeah, the Dave, the fundamental answer to that is many times when folks retire, you're not dying. You still need, let's say you retire at 65. Life expectancy is 90, 95. So that's one of the problems I have with target date funds. Folks will say, well, I'm retiring in 2022, and they get into target date funds, and that fund is mostly in bonds or maybe mostly in bonds. The idea is the portfolio needs to stay intact. And as Joe said, there may be some strategies. Instead of having dividends reinvested, maybe we have those paid out in cash and then every month sent out to you. But theoretically, the plan and the portfolio needs to stay in place for growth.
So has the government passed this crazy thing that I've heard about, where let's say you have three different investment programs. You have a Roth, you have a regular IRA still, and you got a 401. And so when you have to take your distributions, I read something the other day that said you'll now have to take them from every one of those. Okay,
yes.
That's something that our illustrious government wants us to do now, which really has a negative hit on it.
Well,
I wouldn't have done that.
No, it's the same amount of money. When you, at the end of the day, if you put a pencil to it, it's the same amount of money. The problem is it's a pain, because you got to deal with different accounts. The best thing to do when you retire is consolidate and make life easier. That's the way you do it.
But I don't want to take anything out of my Roth.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to
I just don't.
You don't have to take it out of your Roth. But
so I don't have to take it out of every account I have individually?
Not out of your Roth. Out of your pre-tax, your 401k and your IRA, yes, you do at age 72.
But the Roth is exempt.
SEP is the same way?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you could combine your SEP, your SEP, and an IRA. Those can be combined, and your 401k if you wanted to. And that's a strategy that we look at if it makes sense. But the Roth is a separate animal. There's no RMD needed to withdraw from that.
Yeah, I kind of waited too late because I'll get that tax hit I'm going to take on that IRA. I don't know if I'll have time to recover it, but.
Well, no, hold it. Remember, it's required minimum distribution. The word there is minimum. You don't at age 72. It's just less than 4% of your account. You don't have to cash it in a lump sum.
No, I got it. Yeah.
So
I understand that. It's just I see the government's working overtime.
Of course.
After all this time, they're working overtime now to try and pay for those multi-trillion-dollar
you got it.
Sure. on TV.
You got it.
We're the guys. When they said over $400,000, I just laughed because you and I both know that's not going to cover it.
No. That's right.
They've got to come after all of us
in one way, shape, or form.
Price of gas, price of milk. Yeah, there you go. Okay, guys, I appreciate it.
I
Thanks
appreciate
for it.
the call,
Thanks
Dave.
for listening.
Appreciate you calling.